So in this module, we went through and took a look at application attacks. Again, these are the attacks that take place because applications sometimes aren't tested for vulnerabilities when the developer's writing the program or the application is extremely feature-driven, which means, again, complexity, and you guys know what complexity means. We also talked about how timeframes or deadlines affect developers. We then went through and talked about misconfiguration attacks. Again, this is where systems are misconfigured or they're left at their lowest security settings so that users find things easier to do, or the fact that you may not even know that these particular settings are there. Again, you need to review all the different settings of any hardware device or application. We also talked about shrink wrap code attacks. Again, this is where developers are using code that they may have created or they've borrowed from somebody else. They may have bought it because it's pre-configured, and they don't review what's inside that code. Again, we should be reviewing that. There needs to be some best practices in place that anytime that we're developing in-house applications or developers bringing in any code from the outside, it needs to be thoroughly reviewed. We also went through and took a look at our operating system attacks. Now, these attacks are not limited again to Microsoft. I fired up an Ubuntu server, and it notified me that there were like 39 packages that needed to be updated and 26 updates for security reasons needed to be updated. So again, it's not just one particular vendor. This is all around. And again, what happens is that it's kind of the same concept as the developer, because these are developers of OSs, but they're trying to get an application out. They're trying to make things easy, and they think within their own world. They're not thinking necessarily in your particular environment. And then finally, we talked about the different entry points that an attacker might take to make his way into your environment, whether, again, that was through remote networks. We talked about the stolen equipment as well as the physical entry and the remote dial-up and Wi-Fi and LAN environments. So hopefully this gave you a better understanding of the different attacks that might be thrown at you, as well as how they're going to try to make their way into your network. Hey, coming up next, we're going to talk about information security controls. And one of the main things we'll talk about in that module is vulnerability research. We've talked about it. We even mentioned it in here. That's why you're going to want to listen to that next section. Trust me.